Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video. I won't say it's long awaited because we only done a video on it last week when we picked it up. So we never actually had the number plates on it, they was in the boot. I've actually had to get them out to remind me every day to actually ring up and order the parts that we need for it. So I have ordered all of the parts for it. I think we're just going to roll with, for a minute, we're going to roll with a set of pads for it all the way around, work on the brakes, get the brakes working, and just keep going through it, doing a few little jobs on this car, and hopefully we'll get somewhere with it by the end of the video. So the plan is I'm gonna whip round to the local motor factors and pick up some brakes for it. You're gonna bring it inside the workshop, Chris?
We'll solve that. We have got one on the lift, so it's quite nice out here.
It is.
Do it out here?
Yeah, we'll do it outside.
Just means whether you're gonna be kneeling down or
yeah, it should be all right. We've got mats, haven't we? So yeah, we're going to do it out here. It is a nice day, you're right. Let's do it. So I'll whip round and get the bits and we'll crack on with it. Well, that was actually a bit of a nightmare, guys, to be honest, because it's an import. They had all sorts of trouble with the reg. But as well, again, Drive Tech, these are only cheap pads. They was the cheapest ones they done. And look how expensive they was for an old car like that. So that's brake pad set. That's the fronts there, $29.38. And the rears were $27.79, so nearly £60 on brake pads for an old car like that is unbelievable. For something a bit more modern, you can normally get discs and pads for 60 quid. Anyway, we won't moan about it. Let's get in and get them fitted. Guys, I cracked on out there and it was a bit of a fail. So we've got no rear fitting kit for the rear pads, so I've had to order that. They're not coming in till 2 o'clock. I mean, they used to come in the boxes, the fitting kit. The front disc is in lovely condition, but it was quite rusty. So Chris has just cleaned that right up, believe it or not. And it's perfect. That can go back on. Front pads, completely different to the ones that we had, so I've just had to take those back as well. And Chris just said, to be fair, Rob, what's actually wrong with them ones? I've just cleaned the back of them up, bit of copperies on there, they are still like new, so we're going to have to roll with them as well, I'm afraid, until or if we can actually track down the correct ones. Apparently, because it's an import, it's just a pain. There's 3 different types and they don't have any of them in stock, so we'll just wait and see what comes up. But for the meantime, I am just going to get on and clean up that hub that's on it because it looks quite poor. That went back together lovely, guys, and it's all nice now. Everything's moving how it should be. All of the rubbers are back on. I cleaned up all of the fittings. Everything is bang on now. I did just open the reservoir and it has not got a drop in it. I am waiting for a fitting kit for the rear pads, so I am going to fit the caliper and just wait for that kit to turn up. But I can't actually bleed this one up. Look at the state of this nipple, guys, the end of it. I was very, very lucky to get that out, but once I started turning it, it did come out fine. So I am going to whip the wheel back on it for a moment and move on to that back one, because we're waiting for that fitting kit. I'll put the wheel on it, and then what we'll do is actually bleed all of the brakes together on the ramp. It'll just be a lot easier. That's not oil down there, guys. That is just a bit of brake cleaner I've sprayed on the brake there, and it's all over the floor. Also, this car's got a god-awful rattle, and a couple of you guys actually reached out in the comments and said, Rob, that bracket in the boot is actually for a shield. Let's find that bracket. Amount of people I had Instagramming me asking to buy them. We wouldn't sell bits off of a car, guys, they're going to go with it. So this bracket here, quite a lot of you reached out and told me that it was something to do with a heat shield. And then this morning, straight away, I got underneath there. And that's our noise there, isn't it, guys? So I need to concentrate on getting that bolted back on. I can see it has got some bolt. Yeah, I can see where that bracket goes now. So whoever reached out and said about that, thank you very much. You're absolutely bang on. I'll probably move a few of these bits out of the way that aid me to get to that a bit easier. So let's get on with the back brakes for now. Put the back one back together, guys, just while we're waiting for, I'm going to ask Chris to come out and do something with that bumper. It needs screwing to the quarter panel. But while we're waiting for those fitting kit for the rear pads, I'm just about to fit this bracket. So I noticed straight away as soon as I pulled it off that there's 2 bolts missing out the exhaust. Guys, I'll be honest with you, I've kind of lined it up with that cover, worked out that the 2 little 10 mils that are in this cover actually fit in these 2 here. So I'm kind of hoping that I've put that in the right place. I'm sure there'll be people screaming now, telling me I've got it round the wrong way or something, but it is a case of trial and error. I never took it off, and I've not taken one off before, so got the other nut here. I'm going to get that on, do it up. It's got 2 chances, hasn't it? Let's try and get it in there. It is very, very tight, but that dump valve, I've just managed to swing it round out of the way. It's not tight, and took one of the air pipes off. So let's carry on and see if we can get this done. Right, guys, got it in position, definitely in the right place. That is where it needs to be. Very strange setup with the dipstick there. That must go round the other way, I should think, because it's not going to be no good round that way that it was. Now I can see as well, now I've popped it back in there, I should have noticed it prior actually, the holes, you can see why it's been removed. A couple of the holes have actually, the bolts have pulled through them. That gets quite hot and it's just rotted away slightly. So I've just gone with some oversized washers. There's 3 mounting points up the top here, and I'm going to put a washer on all 3 of them. And they actually look quite straightforward to get to. You've got one there behind the dipstick, you've got one there and another one right down the bottom, but all quite straightforward stuff. And guys, I know what you're going to say. You want to try and see a bit of it, but again, it's so awkward. You can't really time lapse that, so let's get the bolts in it and get it done. As soon as them clips turn up, I think we can start bleeding the brakes. We're not going to have anything big enough to fit on there. Oh no, it's there. We're all right, we'll carry on. Believe it or not, guys, it's actually a couple of days later. The fitting kit that arrived was the wrong one. We had a lot of messing around, but finally, brand new old stock. This looks like it's been sat somewhere for quite some time. We've got the fitting kit in there now for the rear brakes, but I need to get it up on the ramp anyway, because that front tyre actually belongs on the offside rear, and then obviously the offside rear one belongs on the near side front. So I need to swap those around, and it'll be ideal actually having it off the ground to bleed all 4 corners of the brakes anyway, because that reservoir is completely empty and I don't know how long it's been sat and how long they have been empty for. So I'm going to crack on with that. There's quite a few jobs on this one, so I'm going to try and get as many of them done as I can, but definitely a good idea to bring it in, get it up on the ramp. Let's get that fitted and carry on. It, guys, all back together, and I thought, do you know what, why it's up on the ramp? A lot of you do always ask, oh, wonder what the underneath of it's like. It does want quite a fair bit of pulling together, this car, guys. Look at the size of that. But underneath, yeah, there's surface rust pretty much everywhere on it, but at some point someone has blacked it up. I would definitely say the worst part of this car, see where it's been jacked up several times in the wrong place, and they've squashed the seal, so that cover wants to come off and that'll all need straightening out. But again, it's been jacked up here, you can see. But all in all, there's quite a bit of brake fluid on there. I've been round and bled the brakes with the Easy Bleed. Again, guys, it's not a great deal I can show, but it actually is not that bad. I'm going to just bring it down, make sure that all the brakes are working, Then we'll get all the tyres put on the correct axles, check all the pressures, and I suppose there is, I was going to say give it a little run up and down the yard, but I want to stick things like that fog light on, and I want to get the number plates on it and go through and check all of the lights and bits and pieces as well. But yeah, it's really not that bad, really not that bad at all. Let's get it down and check the brakes. Guys, check that out, how quiet that is. We get round the front in a moment. Now that heat shield's all sorted out, it just sounds like a completely different car. The rear fog there, it had just broken off of its bracket, so I've put some glue on it. Hopefully, as soon as that dries, that'll be fine. But failing that, I think they're about £3–4 each for a fog light. They're so cheap. Rear number plates on, and I've just gone through and started checking all of the lights. I need to pull the door shut and check the brake lights in a minute through the rear view mirror, but all of the number plate lights are working, both rear lights. Again, it's how quiet that is now. A couple of little bits to do under the bonnet. Like I've noticed that the battery's not bolted down, but we have got the complete bracket kit there for it, so I will get that bolted on there in a moment. Front number plates on, as you can see, both front headlights are working, and also the flashers and the washer jets, they're all working as well, which shocked me. I expected them to be a bit blocked up. Also, the chap did say that previously maybe there's a problem with a bonnet catch. I can't remember what he said, and maybe that's why this grill's been pulled out. I don't know, but it certainly wants looking into. So I'm just going to continue on doing all these little jobs on the car until Chris comes back, I suppose. So let's carry on. I've done a quick couple of laps up and down the yard there in it, guys, and there's excessive pedal travel, but fortunately for me, Chris is back now, so we're going to go a bit old school and actually bleed it by hand rather. And it does feel like this front driver's side wheel that is the problem, because once I pump them, it's fine. But after doing just a couple of laps of the yard and pushing it, I can hear just that front wheel locking up. So there is still air in the system here. Let's get it back up on a ramp, get that all bled out, and then continue on. Guys, this will not be a surprise to quite a lot of you. We've just been going through it. Chris is here now, helping me along the way. We've got the horn working, we've got the battery strapped down, everything's tightened up, and the brakes are all bled up, and the pedal's right at the top now, Chris, you said, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, more than anything, I mean, I'll get to the point. Guys, I'm going to take this car for an MOT and see how it goes, because there's no rot in the floor or anything like that. There is just that bit of damage on the seal. I've been through all the lights are working. Everything seems to be working. And I said to Chris, do you think this is safe to drive over there? He said, well, the truck's out there. You can always throw it on the back of the truck. But I am actually going to poodle over there in it, Chris. I'll chuck the tray plates in it. I've got it booked in for an MOT. I mean, I know it's got a slow puncher, so I'm going to try and leave a bit early, stop at the tyre shop and get that addressed. And I
would say, you've driven it up to the gate a couple of times. We've re-bled those brakes. I would take it down the road.
Chuck the tray plates
just take it down the road and see what them brakes, make sure. I mean, the pedal's nice and high now, but just
if I'm happy with it, make
sure there's nothing, you know, and when you brake, it brakes in a straight line.
Even.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And if it all feels all right, then car has sat a long time, so...
It has sat a long time, and I'm not going to be gunning it because there is a service kit in the back for it. Obviously, it's probably due a service, but what I did do is I did pull the dipstick out. You haven't seen this, Chris. Have a look at this. Look at the oil in it. It's like brand new, that oil.
Yeah, it looks a bit low, though.
No, it is all right. I checked it yesterday. Right, I need to get that back in there. And I'm going to take this for a little run up the road. And as long as it drives all right, I'm not even going to turn around and come back, mate. No. I'm going to head straight to the tyre shop and then straight to MOT. So, guys, that didn't quite go to plan. I mean, there was an element there, Chris, where I thought this might pass, but with some advisories, because it's been sat for so long.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. What I will say is, we bled them brakes up, and it stops lovely. And it drives very, very nicely too, believe it or not. I've just driven it over to the MOT, about 11 miles. But we have got a refusal of an MOT certificate, guys. What I'm going to do is just quickly roll through them. Anti-roll bar pin bush, excessively worn near side. Should we show these?
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, anti-roll bar pin bush, excessively worn near side rear and offside rear. Chris,
Right.
you can zoom in. Can you see that there? Does the camera see that?
Yeah.
So can you see it's got a bit of movement in it?
Yep.
That's both of them, both sides. It needs both of those.
Right.
And next, exhaust emissions likely to be affected by an exhaust leak central. And I'll be honest, once he got it up on the ramp and it was running, I could hear it leaking out of like the downpipe. You can actually clearly hear it leaking. Right, and the last thing, and this was the last thing for MOT failure, headlamp aim too low and too far to the right, near side front. He actually said to me, if we're doing the other jobs and we're bringing it back, if we can't do that,
just
like lining it up on the door, he'll
yeah.
adjust it while we're there. But we have got some advisories, but I do want you to show these now as well, now that I've been for a drive in it.
Right.
So brake disc worn, pitted and scored, but not seriously weakened, offside rear and near side rear. Look how good they cleaned up. They actually look a lot better, don't they? But you can see all the pitting in them. You're never going to get rid of that. This one, really interesting. Chris, what's that? Integral body structure is deformed, but structural rigidity is not significantly reduced. Offside front lower. That's the seal,
that.
yeah. Integral structure deformed, but structure rigidity is not significantly reduced. Offside front lower and near side front. There's a patch on there as well. Chris, that is the only failures on it. So what I would say is...
Those were advisories.
Those were advisories. We're going to do this one. I think we're... Guys, I've said from day dot, we had a bit of a plan the day we bought this car. Let's go inside and I'll actually elaborate on that. So guys, what was the plan with that car? As soon as I get offered something, I'll share it with Chris. Do you remember what you said to me when you come back to me?
Too old.
It's too old. We don't need any more projects. We've got too much to be getting on with.
That is the thing with the old stuff. It does turn into a project.
And once I told you my idea, you was keen,
Yeah.
wasn't you? So, guys, the idea for that car was the classic market is absolutely crazy. And anybody that was even thinking about getting into a classic car is now struggling because of how expensive they are. We know the Subarus are not sky high at the moment, but they have a lovely following, a real good following, loads of forums on them, and they're still sort of reasonably priced. They are really creeping up there now. So I actually said to Chris, I want to buy this car. If it's rotten as a pear, there'll be somebody that would really like to own it still and restore it. If it's a nice car, you know, if it needs a few jobs doing, there's going to be a different kind of person that really wants that car. Basically, guys, what I'm getting at is we bought that car because we wanted it to move it on to somebody that wants to get into the classic car scene and have a little running and driving project. Does that make sense? I know what I'm going on about, and I'm hoping that you guys are following what I'm thinking. Basically, I said to Chris, how nice would it be? Get that car back, titivate, do a few little jobs on it, have a little earner out of it, and move it on to someone that can't go out and buy a mint classic car, but they still want to use it as it is, or they want a little project that they can do on their driveway, but they need to get in the car and move it. They need it to run and drive. So that was the plan all along. Get that car to a stage and move it on. So without moving on to the paint shop and getting this seal all sorted out, we're done. You know, we've gone as far as we want to go. But what we are going to do is we're actually going to do the MOT failures, and we're going to get that car with a year's MOT on it. But again, I'm going to do something a little bit unusual, like what we did on a previous video. And I'm going to tell you guys to let me know what you think that car, how much should we sell that car to, on Instagram. How much should we sell it for? How much should we put it up for? Don't say like 3,000 quid, 2,000 quid. It's too much. We want that car to be affordable to someone. We want them to get a little bargain and put their own touch on it, have the bit of paint work done. Because if we get a year's MOT on that car, in an ideal world, you'll want to chuck a set of discs and pads, a set of discs on the back of it. You can actually use that this summer and take it to some shows. So we're actually going to MOT it, and it's not going to be available until that's done, guys. So if you are interested, just keep checking the MOT history, and once you see it's passed, you'll know it's coming very soon on Instagram. What we're actually going to do is do the MOT, advertise it on there, and hopefully, I really, really do hope that one of you guys that really wants a classic but can't quite afford that reach is going to buy that car off us, and it's really going to put a smile on your face. Guys, I just driven that car to the MOT, and there is a nice little quiet bit of road in Mexico, and I did put my foot down in that car, and it puts a cracking smile on your face, and it goes well. It really does go well. So we paid 500 quid for that car. I just spent 40 on an MOT. I put 35 quid's worth of petrol in it, because I put £15 in a can in it yesterday, and it still said it was empty. So I stopped at the garage, put another 20 in it. We've put rear pads in it. I think they was quite expensive, 28 or 29. I did put it in here. Various other little bits and bobs. I think it owes us about 650 quid home, and that is a cheap little car. Like I said, we're not going to be greedy, but we're entitled to a little earner out of that one. So guys, be modest when you put your thoughts in the comment section down below about how much you think it's worth. And that is going to be the end of the videos on the Subaru Impreza. No more videos on it, guys. Don't forget, drop your comments and thoughts in the comment. Thank you, buddy. In the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, share on all your social networking sites, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Selvage Rebuilds. If you reach out to me on there, don't forget to include your telephone number. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.